Alright, this is all mixed up. Now, they're not going to tell you which kind it is. You're going to have to know. On number 23, the first thing we do is, anything in common. Do they have anything in common that I can factor out? So I look. I've got a 3, an x, and a 10. Nothing in common. They don't have a variable that they share. They don't have a number that goes in evenly into anything. So the second thing I'm going to look for, can I do the x? And you do these in order. Can I use the x? That big X thing. And in this case I can. I've got an A value, I've got a B value, I've got a C value. So I'm going to set up my X. And then I've got A times C is negative 30, B is negative 1. So negative 6 times 5 will give me those numbers. I'll get X minus 6, X plus 5, ready to go. I am not finished. The last thing I need to do is divide by A. 6 over 3 reduces to 2. And then the 5 over 3 does not reduce, so I'm going to slip that 3 out in the front. And now I'm finished. Alright. So, can't pull anything out. Can I use the X? Yes. Am I done? Yes. Ready to go. That was a terrible box. Terrible box. The third thing will be, are there 4 terms? That's going to be the last thing you're going to roll over. So, anything common, can I use the X, are there 4 terms? So when we look at number 24, is there anything in common? They both have a 3, they both have an X. What will be left? An X minus a 4. Alright, is there anything else in common? Nope. Can I use the X? Not now, not with it factored like this. And are there 4 terms? No, everything's all multiplied together. So on 24, I'm done. 25. Is there anything in common? No. Can I use the X? Yes. I've got negative 4 and 0, negative 2 and positive 2. And some of you are saying, Mr. Murdoch, I know that I can go to this pattern when I look at it. And I'm going to tell you that's fantastic. But not everybody can, so I'm going to throw that X up there just in case. Divide the A off, and we'll get X minus 2, X plus 2. Alright? Is there anything else in common? No. Can I use the X again? No. Are there 4 terms? Not now. I've got it factored. So we are done right there. 26. 26. Same thing. Is there anything in common? Now this one is deceptive. Hold up. We're going to have to add an X squared right there. Casual heads up. Need to add a squared right there. That's my bad. Alright, anyway. Is there anything in common? No. They don't have a number that factors in, and they don't all have a variable that's the same. Can I use the X? I've got 4 terms. We don't have an A and a B and a C. Alright, 4 terms. And then the last one, are there 4 terms? Well, man, that's really handy. There are 4 terms here. What you're going to do is the factor by grouping. We're going to grab those first 2. What do they have in common? They've got an X squared in common. What's left? 3X minus 2. Make sure that you add that X squared. What about that second group? What do they have in common? They both have a 2. What's left? A 3X minus 2. You'll notice my parenthetical quantity matches. That's critical. That's critical. What do I have? Well, I have X squared plus 2 of this quantity. X squared plus 2. What goes inside my back end parentheses? This number right here, 3X minus 2. I have X squared plus 2 of my variable, which is 3X minus 2. And that's it. So when you get to everything all mixed up, you have 3 questions. Is there anything in common I can factor out? Do that first. Can I use the X? Are there 4 terms? These are what you execute. Alright. Solving. It's the same basic thing, except for you're going to add one more thing. Your very first thing on solving, is there a 0? If there is not a 0, you have to make one to solve. Alright? When you've got an X squared. We're going to go 1A. Is there X squared? We'll make this 1B. Is there X squared if there's an x squared, is there a 0? We'll get to this here in just a second. So first of all, we look, is there an x squared? Yes. So are we going to have to get a little crazy in our solution? Absolutely. All right. The second thing we're going to do, is there a 0? Here it is right here. So I'm ready to go. And then I'm going to go back up here to my solving. Can I pull anything out? Is there anything in common? Number 27, yes there is. They both have a 2. They both have an x. What's left? 2x minus 3. All right. Are we ready to go? Yes, it's factored. So 2x could be 0. 2x minus 3 could be 0. In this first one, x is 0. And in the second one, we add the 3 to both sides and divide the 2 off. And you'll get x equal to 3 over 2, x equals 0. Those are 2 answers. Looks great. 28. Is there an x squared? Yes, there is. It's right here. Do I have a 0? I do. Then I'm going to go through my process. Is there anything in common I can factor out? They don't share a variable, and they don't have a common number. Can't factor anything out. Can I use the x? Yes, I can. I've got 5 times negative 6 on the top. I have negative 1 on the bottom. That's going to give me negative 6, positive 5. So I'll get x minus 6, x plus 5. Don't forget that equals 0. It's not finished just yet. I need to divide by my a value, which is 5. Doesn't divide evenly into 6, and I cannot reduce, so I'm going to get 5x minus 6. This one will reduce, so I'll get x plus 1. In my final step, I'm going to set it equal to 0 and solve. I've got 2 numbers. Their product is 0, so one of those numbers has to be 0. It's going to be a 6 over 5. Alright, pull that 1 from both sides. We're ready to go. Next one. Is there an x squared? This one's a little weird. Yes, there is an x squared. 4x times x is x squared. Is there a 0? Yes, there is. Is there anything in common? Can I use the x? Are there 4 terms? I need you guys to calm down. We're ready to go right now. You'll notice our step before we finish each time is to get it in factored form, like this. When we look at this problem, and that's the difficulty of this problem, you have to identify, I'm in factored form right now. I've got 2 numbers multiplied together, they could be 0. 4x minus 1 could be 0. And then x plus 2 could be 0. It's ready to go. And that's the hardest part of this problem, identifying that it is ready to go right now. A lot of us get a process that we get used to, and we don't really understand what we're doing. We just kind of, this is what I do. This is what I'm supposed to do here. You've got to understand why you're doing it. Why am I factoring it? I'm factoring it because when I get 2 numbers that multiply together to be 0, I can solve from that point. That's why we factor. If you don't remember that, if you're just executing a pattern each time, you're going to get caught with a problem like this and have no idea what to do. So be careful. Be careful. This one's ready to go. The last one, and this is why this is an important question. Is there an x squared? No, there's not. When there's not an x squared and you're solving for x, it becomes a problem that you guys have done so many times before. It's an easy problem to finish. You add the 7 to both sides as the second step, and you'll get 6 is equal to 2x. Pull the 2 off, you'll get x is equal to 3. And it really is that easy for number 30. It really is that easy. We're going to slip one of those problems in there just to see if you're paying attention. It's just a regular solve for x problem, and you're ready to go. You'll be ready to go at that point. Good luck on the test, and we'll see you later.